It's time for Annie's monthly Spotify playlist, a playlist of what Annie was listening to this month. Except for Annie doesn't know how to get her act together, so it's a playlist of what Annie was listening to last month. Sorry, doing my best here.
Hey, I'm Annie, and this is Why You Should Love Music.
In any case, this is for April. It's called April Shower Tunes. Okay, the first song is Blackbeak by Youngblood Hawke. It's off screen, you can't see it. Love that song so much. I love that entire album so much, but that song is probably my favorite just because of the weird poetic visuals and beautiful. There's like a beautiful poetic literary artistry all throughout that song. And one thing that I really, really love about that album and about the band in general is that like when I first heard it, I was very, very certain that I understood the narrative that the band was trying to portray. Even though a lot of them are really interesting and really poetic and really different, I was very certain that I knew the narrative. And then I went on Spotify, you can go and listen to album commentary. And it was so funny because almost every single track, I was like, that's not what I got at all. So it's really fun. I feel like it allowed me to be able to live in the songs with some sort of duality of identity. So that's really fun. So if you never heard the album commentary, it's extremely fascinating. You should go listen to it. There's some crazy backstories to some of those songs. I really like that song though. Wait. The next song is supposed to be Social by Cardboard Kids, but I just am like, either I'm having deja vu or I already put this on another playlist. If I did, I'm very sorry. I love this song. I was listening to it a lot in April. It's an older song, so Cardboard Kids. Oh, that's what it was. Okay, so Cardboard Kids is an older music project. The last playlist I did a song by Fangs, same dude. But Cardboard Kids is awesome. Social is amazing. It's a beautiful and hilarious. It's fun and funny, but it's about like mental health and depression and social anxiety, but it puts a really funny twist on it from the perspective of somebody who's dealing with it. And it's really, really, I don't want to say beautiful because it has more grunge than like what you would typically call beautiful, but I think a lot of grungy things are beautiful and people. Anyway, that song is stupidly amazing. And in April, you guys should know this. You guys kind of probably already knew this. In April, I was like really, really, really sick, like the whole month of April. And so I tend to like revert back to like older songs and maybe a little bit more grungy things. They for some reason they bring me comfort. My comfort thing, I lay in bed and I eat hot Cheetos and I listen to like punk music. I don't know why. It makes me feel at home. So I was like locked up in my room a lot of the month of April, so I was listening to the song called Social and it was beautiful. The next song is No Good and Goodbye by The Script. No idea why I was listening to that in April. It must have been at the beginning of the month because I feel like during March I was listening to a lot of like Irish rock bands, so it could have been that like I was listening to a bunch of The Script and it just like bled into the beginning of April. But that album, the song is No Good and Goodbye. The album, No Sound Without Silence. Is that what the album is called? But the album, No Sound Without Silence, is kind of interesting. I feel like that did not get as much attention as I felt like it warranted. I was really excited when The Script was like, oh, we're doing a new thing. And I was like, yes. And then everyone was kind of like, yay. And then it came out and then everybody forgot about it 3 seconds later. Don't know why. It's a really great album. It has some great songs on it. If you were one of the people who like skipped over it, you should definitely go check out that album because it was fantastic. Although I feel like they're working on some new stuff now. So I'm really excited about that as well. The next song is Sleepwalking Part 2 by Alvarez Kings. This is a fun one. This is one of the newer ones that I had discovered in April. I didn't know about this band heretofore. And I really, really, really enjoyed their sound and everything. And I have so many things to say that I don't know how to say any of them. So we talked about I was like really sick in April, and so a lot of the times I was just like forcing myself to go through the motions, and that's a lot of what this song is about. It feels like kind of like you're living your life like a zombie, or like you're sleepwalking and just going through the things. So I think that I am forced to do that in a lot of my day-to-day when I'm feeling really, really sick, and it's just all I can do to just take the next step and do the things that you have to do because you're an adult and you have human responsibilities. So one way that I kind of retain my identity or maintain some semblance of sanity is by connecting through music. And that kind of helps me to live more purposefully. And so I feel like this is kind of maybe a bit of irony in that I was gaining my purposefulness in listening to songs that reflected my lack of purposefulness, which is interesting. I was in a weird headspace in April, apparently. The next song, this is funny. The next song is called Hypnotized. it kind of goes off of what I was saying with the last song. That's not why I picked this one. This is one of the new Coldplay tracks. It came out before Something Just Like This, which they did with Chainsmokers, which that overshadowed, I feel like, Hypnotized. Everybody was like, what? But I really, really, really love this track. It's a lot slower, a lot more tame, so I think it's a lot of people didn't feel immediately connected to it. But I for sure definitely immediately felt very connected to it. And the reason is partially because it feels like a very meditative track musically. It has some interesting things happening, though it is a slower energy. But the lyrics on this track are just insane. It made me feel really happy. I don't think I want to tell you guys that. I almost spilled a secret. I enjoy poetry a lot, and it makes me sad sometimes that that's kind of feels, in a lot of ways, it feels like that's an art form that's like kind of slowly dying off, or I don't know, sometimes I just get pessimistic and start to worry about some of the more archaic art forms, and I want to make sure that they're honored and respected. And then it was like one day I was very fixated on this for whatever reason. I was having a conversation with someone, and that night this track came out, and I was like, oh, I breathed a breath of relief. And I was like, okay, I listened to the song and I knew poetry as an art form is still alive and well. It's not going anywhere. So that was really fun. Next song is Us Against the World by 7 Days in Alaska. The number 7, not spelled out. This is a band that I found. I want to say that they're Norwegian. Is that true? I can't remember right now. But I do remember they were really difficult to find stuff out about, because when I discovered this band, their website was not a thing yet. So I was like going to all their social medias and it kept linking to this broken website, which wasn't... Anyway, they have a website now as well as lots of social medias. They're pretty great. You should check them out. They're new. They have, I think, only one EP, but it seems like every time I see them posting something, they're like, something is coming soon. So that's cool. And I did happen to see an internet mock-up of what appeared to be their EP on vinyl, but I don't know if they're ever actually planning to release it on vinyl, or it's just like a really cool picture that they're like, this is a cool picture of our music. If that's the case, I agree. It's a very cool picture. I really, really love this song. I think all of their songs, but this one is probably my favorite, and I love it. Is there an airplane that's going to be noisy? I'm sorry if there's airplane sounds. The next song is Ultralife by Oh Wonder. You guys know how much I am obsessed with this song because I've already talked about it a lot. Basically, long story short, Anthony and Josephine are like my heroes. They are some of the most incredible writers of our day, I think. I feel like I would love almost anything that they did, even if they could almost get away with anything with me. But this song I legitimately love. It's amazing writing, really interesting. I love them as a duo because they come from such different perspectives in music. I feel like they both have such strong voices and they don't fight against each other. Like when I'm listening to one of their songs, like you can clear, oh, that's Josephine, or like, oh, that was Anthony. You can really, it almost paints a visual of the creative process. So I really enjoy listening to their music for the end result, for the product that they give, but also for the creative journey that they take you on while you're listening. Josephine has some beautifully technical, she makes me giggle a lot. Her technicality and the way that she chooses chords is very interesting, very, very, very intellectual and wonderful, and it's humorous to me, but not like I'm laughing at it, but just it brings me such joy I can't help but giggling, and I'm not generally a giggler, so that's beautiful. And then, Siri's dictating this conversation. Anyway, but then Anthony is very kind of chill and laid back, and he brings a really, really interesting whole different vibe to it as well, and obviously as a guitarist. I don't know, I really relate to and connect to a lot of what they do, but I think that when they write together, it's even more beautiful. Oh Love by MisterWives. This is a really fun song. All of their songs are really fun songs. I really like this band, but I almost have sort of a love-hate relationship with this band because everything that they do, I feel like I love it and I hate it and I fight myself with it a lot, but I think that's part of the charm. And part of the appeal is that a lot of it is very mainstream, but a lot of it is very different, so it almost fights with itself and it makes you fight with yourself, which is something that I really enjoy. I don't want a perspective that always agrees with mine. You know, I want to be expanded, and that's why I love music. Okay, the next song is How Do You Feel by the Maine. Love this track so much. I know, I think it was on the last playlist I was saying Black Butterflies and Deja Vu was going to be my favorite on the album. So at the time that I said that, there were only 2 songs released from the album. But I was like, I'm guessing no matter what, this is going to be my favorite song. Now that I've heard the full album, I'm still fighting myself between Black Butterflies and Deja Vu and How Do You Feel. Those are my 2 favorite, and I don't know that I could put one above the other. But I already talked about the last one. How do you feel? I love this song so much. I love the sentiment of it, first of all. It's interesting because it feels both a tad bit juvenile, but also something that really needs to be acknowledged, and I think it's a voice that needs to be heard. So it's kind of interesting. I don't know if I don't know if their main audience is, I'm gonna guess, is like high school girls. I don't know. I think I fall outside of the demographic of most of the music that I like. I think I'm too old for most of the music that I enjoy, but I don't care. So it's kind of interesting, this song. In some ways, my initial reaction is to think, oh, that's a little juvenile. But really and truly, I think that that's my initial reaction, my surface reaction. But if I dig deeper under the surface, I think my true opinion is that it's something that's really important and really needs to be said. And I think that they've done an excellent job in artistically portraying that message in a really beautiful and well-packaged way. And technically, the song is incredible and amazing, but then also it's just really fun to listen to. It's about allowing yourself to experience emotional validity no matter what you're experiencing. So in a lot of ways, it's a call to not emotionally censor yourself, which is something that I think is incredibly important. And I think culturally, I think universally across the world, I think all cultures have gotten to a place where we're very distant from ourselves. Even when I was just saying, my gut reaction was to be like, oh, that's such a juvenile concept. And that's the part of me that's distant and has the emotional barriers. And the whole song is about allowing yourself to experience whatever you're experiencing and to be honest about what you're experiencing. So that's kind of a fun little layered experience that I just realized that I had with this song. But I really love that one a lot. It's definitely one of my favorites on that album. And that song had, and that album had a bunch of beautiful tracks on it. So to put it so far above the other ones, along with Black Butterflies and Deja Vu, that's a pretty high bar. By the way, the album that I'm talking about is Lovely Little Lonely. It just came out. It's fantastic. Okay, the next song is The Sound of Us by A Lot Like Birds. This song is hecka weird. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's so strange, and that's probably the reason that I love it. It's so beautiful and bizarre and maybe a little dark, but in a good way. I don't know. None of my music preferences ever get too dark, but that being said, I find a lot of beauty in darkness when it's done beautifully, artistically. I don't like darkness for the sake of darkness, but if you go to the shadows to explore the beauty of the depths, then that's something that I'm very compelled by. And I feel like this song definitely does that. It was the first song that I'd heard from this band, and so I think I looked into a bunch of their other songs, and I think this was still my favorite. It's quite interesting. It's very mental, I think. It's quite cerebral to me. For me, it was a cerebral experience, but very dynamic and interesting. Okay, the next song is Hard Times by Paramore. This was either it was the only one that was available throughout all of April, or it was one of the only ones. I don't recall exactly at what time the singles came out, but I think this was the only Paramore track that I had throughout the entirety of April, which is why it's on this playlist. And I really, really love this track a lot. I'm not going to dig too deeply into the history of Paramore because I think anybody that in any way cares already knows the whole thing. And if you don't care, then I'm not going to waste your time. So I'm just going to assume that either you know the backstory or you don't care about the backstory. But I was really excited to hear new Paramore music. Actually, the day that this came out was the same day, or it was the day after. It was the day after Lights announced her new album, and I kept telling everybody that something was going to happen with Lights and Paramore on Tuesday. And Lights announced her new album, which is coming out this fall, which I'm over the moon excited / terrified about. And then on Wednesday, they released this track. I think that's how it went. It could have been a different single, but I'm pretty sure this was released on a Wednesday, and I was really excited. And on the same day, Josh, Josh Dunn did like a hair commercial for Haley's. Anyway, that was another thing. That was a whole big story. It was wonderful. I love this track so much. It has, the whole album has this sort of, they took a little bit of rhythm from tropical music, but what I love is that currently when people have been doing that a lot, it's a big trend, but I feel like they've been like appropriating island music in a way that is like a little shady, but not always, but they kind of turned it into this dubsteppy dance music. I mean, that's nothing new. That's been happening for a long time, but I feel like everybody's like jumping on this tropical bandwagon. But what I really appreciate about this, and a lot of other artists are doing this as well, is that they really take fundamental concepts and core principles of music, and then they use their own artistry and creativity to build their own music. They're not just stealing things and putting it in a cookie cutter mold. So what I really appreciate about this album is that they took the rhythm from island music or tropical music, and then they took the guitar from like alternative music, and they fused them together, and they have, it's sort of this beautiful chaotic fusion of something that I feel is very new, even though it's very, very familiar, and you'll not be shocked or put off. It will sound very familiar to you, but if you really break it down, it's a really interesting mix. And then of course you have Haley's vocals. They're so iconic. Not gonna get into a thing about that. Haley's vocals over the top is just, it turns it into something all new, and I really, really love it a lot. I Don't Want to Dance by Coin. I love this song so much. This album was really good, but probably this is my very favorite track on the album. I don't think the full album was released. I don't remember if it was released in April or May. But I Don't Want to Dance is insanely amazing because primarily, there are a lot of reasons. Primarily because I'm pretty sure it's physically impossible to remain still while you're listening to the song. And then the hook is about, I don't want to dance because I don't know how to dance. It's like being embarrassed to dance in front of people. And it's beautiful because it shows you, it contradicts itself. In the narration, it's saying, I don't know how, but then the physicality of it, the actual music, is just illustrating the intuitive nature of music on the body. And so it's really fun because you don't know how to dance, but you are dancing while you listen to it, and you can't not. And it's just a really fun and funny little self-contained conversation. It's very cheeky, and I like it a lot. Okay, next we have Champions by Born Cages. Love Born Cages so much. One of the commenters actually introduced me to this band, and I'm like fully hooked on them ever since. So thank you guys all for your like comments and suggestions. And when you tell me to look at music, I have fun with that. But this was off their new EP. I call it an EP. I think they were saying that it was a mini album. I don't know. It's called Exit Signs in a Burning Building. And Champions is fantastic. You must check it out. That sounded very bossy of me. You must check it out. I think you should check it out. You might enjoy it. Okay, next we have the song Higher by The Score. This is a really, really fun track. It was off of their like mythological EP. I don't recall what its name was. Actually, I have it open so I can look. It's called Myths and Legends. I just knew that it had a lot of mythological overtones. This is a really, really fun track. It's very, kind of the whole album is, EP, sorry. It's very empowering, and I feel like it's like it could be like a workout song or just like to pump you up. Really fun. This one is a little less technical and a little more outside of your head and into the rest of your body. But it's really, really fun. I like it a lot. Maybe emotional. That's what I meant to say. Outside of your head and into the rest of your body. That's apparently how I vocabulate. That's apparently how I elocute the term, the feeling of emotion. That revealed a little too much about me. Moving on. And next we have Holding On To You by 21 Pilots. Okay, I'm obsessed. It's from their Vessel album. It's an amazing album. It's one of the greatest albums ever. So is Blurry Face, which is off camera. I really love 21 Pilots. That's not going to be a surprise to anyone. And you guys know I was talking about how I go back to older music when I'm feeling sick. Honestly, to be perfectly honest, like my ultimate happy place when I'm feeling miserable, like I'm going to die, I need to be snuggled up with a blanket. I don't care if it's like literally 106 degrees outside, which it actually was. I need a blanket, I need hot Cheetos, and I need 21 Pilots music. That's my ultimate happy place. So I listen to a lot of 21 Pilots. I think I just picked that song kind of arbitrarily because I listened to that whole album and Blurry Face, the whole album, a lot, as well as some of their previous work. Love it. The next song in this playlist is Lane Boy from their Blurry Face album. I know I usually have a rule that I don't like to do the same artists on the playlist. I don't like to repeat artists on playlists, but they were from 2 different eras, and I like seriously listened to a ridiculous amount of 21 Pilots last month. So I feel like that deserved 2 songs. If I was like literally just counting, like looking at my play count for the month of April, they'd probably all be 21 Pilots songs because I listened to a ridiculous amount of 21 Pilots and I consumed a ridiculous amount of hot Cheetos and like generally potato chips. But that's because I was also trying to increase my salt intake because I was sick, which is another story. Moving on. Oh, by the way, Lane Boy, if I try to talk about that song as like me actually talking about that song, or Holding On To You for that matter, I would literally be here for like weeks just talking about the merits and accolades and why, like technical breakdown of why those songs are amazing and why I love them. I would be here for weeks, so we're just gonna move on. The next song is Someone to Stay by Vancouver Sleep Clinic. I love this song so much. I love this band so much. I love this album so much. I love this album so much, and I said it twice because it wasn't impassioned enough either time. So take the 2 times, put them together, amplify it by 10. That's my actual feelings about this, but not quite because it's beyond that. I really love this album a lot. The artistry and the poetry and the full scope of the beauty of this album is something I honestly haven't been quite that excited about, honestly, since this album came out. When this album came out, I like died and freaked out for several months and did almost nothing but just like live within the art of that album. That's how I feel about this album. By the way, the album is called Revival, and it's so beautiful. I get excited and I fall in love very easily with a lot of music, but there are certain songs and certain albums that I feel are just another level of artistry, and like the poetry, the majesty, the beauty, everything, the way that the human body experiences the journey of this album is almost like a religious experience, or if you don't believe in religion, I don't know what you equate with that, but it just feels transcendent. And I was very excited about this album, and I was very excited to find this band. I actually messaged them. I was so excited. I wanted to talk to them when this album came out, the day it came out. I sent them a message, not expecting to get a response, and then a few days later, or the next day, I don't remember, I think I've talked about it on my social media and maybe in one of the videos. I ended up on some pretty hard narcotics for a while, and they messaged me back, and I was like, I had banned myself from social media for a while, which is why I haven't been doing as many videos and posting, and I'm so sorry. It's because I was like super drugged up, and you guys didn't want to be exposed to that level of crazy. But it was really funny because they like messaged me back, and I was like so much wanted to just talk to them about this album, but I was like, oh, I have to wait till I'm not on drugs. But that was really exciting. Yeah, so they were just very lovely. Also, here's a weird thing that I didn't ask them when I was talking to them. Maybe I should ask him. Why is it Vancouver Sleep Clinic? Because I feel like this band is Australian, and so that's very confusing to me. I feel like there's a fabulous backstory that's somewhere in that. I don't know what it is, but that's something to look into. Why is there a flashing light? Does that mean it's not recording right now? That would be really awkward. I really hope this is recording still. The next song is Saw You in a Dream by Japanese House. I really, really like this song a lot. Favorite song on the album. It's really fun. It kind of reflects a lot of the mood of how I was feeling in April. This is going back to the sleepwalking type thing. It's very interesting, very soothing. For some reason, it's very soothing to me and calming. I really like it. Next we have In the Blood by John Mayer. John Mayer. I don't ever know how to say it because no matter how I say it, someone will correct me and tell me to say it the other way. He's an incredible musician, incredible guitarist. A lot of his music has very much informed the way that I approach a lot of shapes on the guitar, and he's just, I think it's inarguable. I don't think that you can make an argument against him as an artist. I think he's just universally incredible. So I'm always interested in his new stuff, even though my preferences don't naturally align with all of his music, I always appreciate being a student of his art. And In the Blood is one of my favorite songs off of his full album that was just released. It's a little sad. I don't relate to it emotionally, but I relate to it cerebrally. I think it's really interesting and really well done. And the last song is Polaroid by Imagine Dragons. I know that they have a lot of new songs. If I was making this playlist now, I would say a different thing. In April, I think we only had 2 singles. I had previously talked about Believer, which I loved. Thunder, I was super disappointed with until the 3rd single came out and it put it in perspective. I've written about that, but I won't do the video talking about that right now. I'm talking about Polaroid because, I really find comfort in some older music. I tend to when I get sick, I revert backwards. I start reliving my life in reverse, and I progress towards childhood until I'm just in a fetal position. I'm just kidding, that was a joke. I really love the song Polaroid. It's amazing. I know a lot of people didn't like the album Smoke and Mirrors. I think that they're wrong. I'm sorry, but I'm actually not sorry. The album was incredible. I feel like I did not relate to it personally or emotionally at all, but I feel like it was beautiful poetry. It was beautifully written, and I feel like it was a really important message that needs to be heard. So I really loved it a lot. Polaroid, though, in particular, I have a special sort of affinity to, just because the metaphors and the imagery in it are so beautiful and hilarious, but also they should tear your heart out. They should probably make me sad, but they make me laugh. In empathy. Oftentimes, apparently I laugh at inappropriate times, but it's just such a beautiful setup, and even though it's a sad expression, he paints it so beautifully and so I don't really want to say artistic because it's more of a lowbrow form of art, which has lots of merit in itself, but it's very funny and very visually visceral, I find, and very beautiful, and I love the otherness of it and the weird dichotomy of it. This whole album I feel like was very experimental, but I really, really, really strongly relate to, and I have a very strong affinity for this song for whatever reason. Every time he gets to the Lone Red Rover part, I die. It's such a beautiful and hilarious metaphor. Again, I guess it's reverting back to childhood a little bit, but it's such a funny and sadly beautiful way to express what he's going through, and I love it a lot. Well, that's my playlist. I'm sorry it's so late and sorry it was so long. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Feel free to subscribe. I post vinyl videos every Friday, random other music related videos with no schedule, as you can see, for the fact that this is almost the end of May. However, I'd love to hear any of your thoughts and feelings and comments. Drop them down below. Feel free to comment on any of the songs or bands that I've talked about, or just let me know what kind of videos you guys would be interested in seeing. I know I've not had time to do a lot of videos lately, but if you have any songs, if you want me to do more covers, feel free to keep dropping those requests, or just let me know if you have any other ideas. I have some ideas that are kind of on the back burner that I haven't gotten around to yet. Also, next week, I have a bunch of family coming into town. All my brothers and sisters, we're having a big reunion, so I might, if I can convince any of them, I might have them come and visit on my channel and do a video with maybe one of my sisters or a couple of my sisters. Let me know if there is anything in particular you would like to see or you don't want to see, then I shall try to adjust accordingly. Anyway, I hope you guys are having a wonderful, fantastic, spectacular day. And I hope that you found some stuff that you liked. Usually I like to introduce you to a lot of new music in these playlists. April was a really wonky month for me, so it's kind of a lot of throwbacks. But I hope that you found something that you could enjoy or grasp onto. And if you didn't, I hope that you were entertained, because otherwise that was a colossal waste of your time. So if that's the case, I sincerely apologize. Why didn't you just click away earlier? Sorry. Anyway, I love you guys. You're the best. I will see you next time. Hopefully it's not this late in the month when I get around to it. Bye.